Hello and welcome back. And we're still on Baling farm at the moment. That's the one I feel like being on currently. And we've got that thing saying that I've just connected an Xbox controller. That's actually my steering wheel, but the PC, because the steering wheel is designed for Xbox, the PC thinks it's an Xbox controller, but it's not. It's a steering wheel. Now, I was telling you the other day on the last video about how I think we get too many bales from each field. So this field here, they've just finished baling up. That's field 4 here. You can see field 4 there. I got 22 bales from that. And then this field here, which is field 16 there, no 14 sorry, field 14 there, that one I got 20 bales from. So you can see what I mean about how I believe that you're getting too many bales per field, and perhaps any of you that have actually done real life farming can tell me whether I'm right in that assumption or not. So having a look at those two fields, I can't tell you exactly how many hectares they are, but you can see the size of them there. I mean, this one is a long skinny field, as you can see, but to me I think 20 bales from this one field is just quite unrealistic. Now, because of that, and it's not just FS22 that's done that, I think all of the Farming Simulator games have done that, made the too many bales per size field. That's why in the earlier ones, where by using a what's the piece of equipment called? I can't even think of the name of it now. The windrower. By using a windrower, you actually got less product, because as it put the bales into windrows, it sort of, you lost some product. I still windrowed anyway, because I felt I was getting too many bales from the fields anyway. This one here, windrowing the fields doesn't give you less product, or I don't think it does. I've never actually tried baling up a field without windrowing it at all, but I do kind of think there's too many bales. I mean, I don't really mind, because I'm only dairy farming, so the only money I get is from sale of milk, sale of any calves I don't want, and sale of excess silage bales, because silage bales are of course the ones that are worth the most. So I don't make a lot of money. It's not like people that are doing crop farming. I don't make anywhere near the amount of money that they make, or people doing forestry. So I don't mind that get too many bales per field, but it's just worth noting that I do believe that I do. But yeah, I would be interested to know from any of you that are actually real life farmers whether you think I'm getting an unrealistic number of bales for these fields or not. There must be a way of working out. Oops, oh, that one didn't work, but we did it. Let's fix it up, because I don't want that one rolling away anywhere, so that's why I'm dumping them all on their ends as I unload them. But that one I forgot to back up. I'll show you how, because this machine here, the bale wrapper that I'm using there, it's designed so you can put the bales on their sides like this, or on the ends as you dump them. But this particular tractor here, although the horsepower is plenty to operate the bale wrapper, the hitches on the tractor, the 3-point linkages, are a wee bit low, so sometimes when you tell it to dump the bales on their ends rather than on their sides, it doesn't actually do it, because the machine's a wee bit lower than it's designed to be. Now I have worked out a way to get around that, and I will show you as I wrap this one here. So we'll just back up here and pick up this next bale. Oh, come on. Oh, just change back to that piece of equipment later. Now it'll work. Okay. So the first trick is, if you're on a hill like we are now, try and get it across the hill. You can see that the hill's, so we're parked across the hill, because it prefers to work on flat ground rather than when you're facing uphill or downhill. Then what I do is I chuck the tractor into reverse, and as I go dump the bale there, just when it gets to that point there, I back the tractor up slightly, and you can see how you probably saw the bit that pushes the bale to push it onto its end. As I said, because the whole piece of equipment a wee bit lower than it's designed to be, just because the linkages on this particular tractor. Just giving it that little nudge by pushing it backwards as I unload the bale, just helps to ensure that it's going to end up on its end. And it's especially important when you are baling on hills, on fields that aren't flat like this. And let's be honest, none of the fields on this farm are flat. So it's especially important that if you're going to do round bales, when you don't have flat paddocks, that you unload them. There you go. Get a chance to see it again. The bit that pushes out to tip it, and the fact that just giving the tractor a nudge in reverse just gives it the extra bit of nudge it needs to knock the bale onto its end. Yeah, and I think we are still on a bit of a slope even now. This field does flatten out towards the bottom. So, okay. So start loading here. Okay. And I've still got 2 more fields that I haven't baled up yet that I've mown. So I mowed 4 fields this time, and I've got the timer set to 0.5 at the moment, you'll notice. And the reason for that is because if you look at that weather thing, it's going to rain later on today. Now, I don't care if I've still got the bales out in the field not collected when it starts to rain, as long as they're wrapped. I don't want to lose them all. Of course, the game designed the way it is, I wouldn't actually lose the bales if it got rained on, but in real life I would, so I kind of want to get them all wrapped at least, because that makes them waterproof. Okay. Once we finish wrapping all the bales on this field, we'll go to the next field where I'm mowing and then wrapping and things. I do love this tractor, even if the linkages are a wee bit low for this particular machine. I mean, I could put it on a different tractor, but I've only got 2 tractors on this particular farm, and generally speaking, when I'm baling and wrapping, I will have both tractors out, one hooked up to the baler and one hooked up to the wrapper, so I'm not just constantly baling for too long or constantly wrapping for too long. I sort of change between the two, because I'll bale up a field, then I'll wrap that field, then I'll bale up the next field and wrap the next field. On some of my maps where I have 3 tractors, I sometimes have one tractor hooked up to the windrower, one tractor hooked up to the baler, and one tractor hooked up to the bale wrapper, and I'm doing all 3 fields at once. I windrow one, then I bale it up, then I wrap it. Because again, if I'm just doing one job for too long, it starts to get a bit dull, so I like to break it up a wee bit. Especially the windrowing. Like I absolutely love doing grass work. I love mowing, I love baling, and I love wrapping. But the windrowing, I'm not so keen on. It's why I was looking for a bigger windrower, which in fact I haven't bought a bigger windrower. And the reason for that is because I said in that last video when I was thinking about getting one, I wanted one that was about 6 metres wide. I thought that would be ideal. And the one that I've got is about 4 metres wide, but because I run it down both sides of each row, it means I'm getting each row of grass, oops, I missed a bale back there, is about, I'll show you, I'll just use the tab between my 2 tractors for a second. Just let me back up here and pick this one up, and then I'll show you. So we tab the other tractor for a second. So this one's the one that's connected up to a baler. Now, these windrows are about 8 metres apart. The reason why is the windrower does 4 metres, so what I do is I run it down this side of this one, throwing it onto the right, and then I turn it around and come back up the hill, throwing it on the side from this side. Then I turn and I go down this one, and then when I come back up the hill again, I go up the side of this one onto this. So each windrow has actually got grass thrown on from both sides, even though the windrow itself is only a one-sided, only throws it out one side. So it means that my windrows end up about 8 metres apart. And I thought, well, I thought a 6 metre windrow would be quite ideal, really. The problem is that the single windrows, the ones that have a single wheel or whatever, tend to not really get anything above. Oh, I thought I'd press the button to make a dump the other way. Never mind, we'll fix that. Yeah, so the single ones don't seem to go above about 4.5 metres sort of thing, so you don't really get wider than that. And the double ones start at about 8 metres, which I thought would be too wide. I didn't really want a windrow that was 8 metres wide. Now, I did actually find one mod that had 2 spinning wheels on it for the windrower, and it was only 7 metres wide in total. So I thought, well, that's close enough to the 6 metres that I wanted. But because it was a trailed windrower and not on the links, it was actually too long for this farm. I couldn't get through some of the gates and things on this farm with it. It was just too long, so it was a trailed windrower. And I mean, I found the same problem when I was using a trailed baler. That it was really, this farm here, Baling, is actually, some of the gates and things are a bit tight to get trailed equipment in very easily. It's okay if it's a very short piece of trailed equipment, so like that baler, that little round baler that I've got. It's fine getting that in the gateways, but things like, windrowers and mowers and things that are a wee bit longer when they're trailed, they're just too big for this farm. And since this is, I love the fact this is a tight map. I mean, this, it's a hard press. For FS22, I would say my 2 favourite maps are Baling, which is this one, and Spring. Now, overall, I would have to say Spring's a bit better, and the reason I say it's better is because this one hasn't been ported across properly, so some of the features that should work don't work and things like that. Spring has been done really, really well. I'm not 100% certain whether FS22 was the first version ever to get Spring or not, but if it wasn't, it's certainly a very, very good job that they did on it, because you even have baby calves and things like that. You don't just have the one size of animals. But in terms of the actual design of the map, the shape of the farm and things like that, this would be hands down my favourite map ever. So if the developers of Spring got permission to do Baling, and they did it with the same care as they did Spring, so it had all the same features and everything was working properly as intended, with no issues or anything, then I would say this would be my favourite map by miles. I absolutely love this map. Oops, I forgot I didn't have the tractor in reverse, so when I gave it a blip it didn't, but that's sitting on the flat, so I'll just leave that one. Anyway, we'll lift it up like that. Okay, so yeah, this map is my favourite map in terms of the shape of the map and the layout of the map and the layout of the yard. I have done a lot of work on the yard myself to turn it into the yard as it's done in the FS22 version of this map was awful, so I've turned it back into the FS17/FS19 version of the yard, pretty much, so it's about as tight as it was in those earlier versions and things like that. But yes, overall this is my favourite map in terms of the layout of the map and things, but because there's so many features that don't quite work as they should on this map. So a good example is that you can put the placeable animal pastures down, and it recognises those pastures, so you have to actually feed all the animals and things like that, but all of the cows are invisible, you don't actually see them. So what I've done, as you may remember, is I've put placeable cows in all the paddocks, so all my paddocks have cows in them, the cows are just standing perfectly still because they can't move. But they're just placeable ones. If you actually ran into them with your tractor or something, you'd probably knock them over. And that's why, like, when we look across, zoom out here, if you look there, those cows aren't moving in the paddock, and that's because they're placeable cows. But although the placeable cows, of course, aren't eating any food or anything like that, I've placed the same number in each paddock as what I've got in each paddock. So the placeable pasture mod, I have put a pasture in that paddock there, and I have got, I think from memory there's, is it 10 or 20 cows in that paddock? I think it's 10 from memory. So I've got 10 cows in that paddock that are eating the food, so I have to feed them every day, and they are drinking the water, they are producing the milk and everything else that a cow should be doing, but they're invisible and you can't see them. And then I've got 10 placeable cows that don't need feeding and don't do anything, but they're just there so you can visually see them in the paddock. Now, if the map was converted properly, I wouldn't need to do that. I wouldn't need the placeable cows there, because the cows are doing all of the eating and everything else. You'd see them wandering around the paddock and actually moving. But because of the problems with conversion of this map, I've had to cheat and do that. So yeah, it's a very hard call as to which map I actually prefer in FS22 as a result of that one, because this one I think the map itself I like better, but it's not a good conversion of it. So, and Baling Spring, they've done a really, really good job of setting up the map. I don't think the actual plan the map, I mean, it's good, but I don't like it as much as this one, probably because Baling Spring is a lot bigger map. There's about, I don't even remember now, is it 6, 8 or 10? There's lots of different farms anyway, and you can choose which farm you want to farm on. And I've always quite loved small maps. And so what I've done with Baling Spring, and what I do with any other bigger map, is I choose a farm that I like the layout of best, and then I only farm like one corner of the map, or one little area of the map. In the case of Baling Spring, the farm I chose isn't one of the corners. So I really only farm that one little corner of the map, and that's all, and I totally ignore the rest of the map. It might as well not be there, basically. I'll occasionally pick up a job to do that's elsewhere in the map, but generally, unless I'm driving to the shop, which isn't in the corner where my farm is, I don't leave that one corner of the map except to drive to the shop or back again, sort of thing. Whereas with a smaller map, of course, you end up. So if we go to this map for a second, so this map has one road on it that starts in this corner, goes across to halfway across the map, down there, then up there to that corner. And that's the only road on the whole map. This whole map is a valley. So where the road's going straight up the middle of the map there, that's the bottom of the valley, and it goes up there, and it goes up there. So the whole farm is on a hill, because all of the paddocks on this side of the road are sloping down to the road, all the paddocks on this side are sloping down towards the road from the edge of the map as well. So yeah, there's not a single flat paddock on this map. This one, number 17 in the corner here, is close to flat at the top of the farm. So that one's probably the closest in this whole game to being a flat field. That's, yeah, almost flat, that one, but not quite. I really, really like that the whole feel of being in a valley, and you can see we're heading down the valley at the moment towards the road. And it's quite funny because with the smaller tractors, you really, really notice it whenever you're going up the valley. They lose a lot of speed and a lot of momentum. You've got to try and keep the speed up and things. The one thing I think they've still done wrong, just looking at all this traffic going past right now, because I do like the fact they included the tractors and things in the traffic. I think the people that made the traffic so it wasn't just all cars, but there were tractors and things as well, did an absolutely brilliant job. But I still think, and I think all maps that have traffic do this. Personally, I think it's a mistake. I mean, I can't design a map, okay? I'm not a map builder. I don't have that kind of skill, and I don't have the time to want to learn the skill. But they all have, in my opinion, too much traffic, which is probably why so many people end up turning the traffic off. I mean, it's a farming game, so you've got to assume that that's a country road there. Certainly it looks like a country road. See it there, it's fairly narrow and things, although it is 2 lane, but it's still fairly narrow. But yeah, it's a country road, and I think a country road should have the occasional piece of traffic going along it. So what I would, if I was designing my own map, which as I said, I don't have the skills to do that, so I won't be doing it. But if I was to design one, I'd probably have it so there'd be one vehicle go along the road every 2 or 3 minutes. And yeah, every map I've ever seen for any farming game, it either has no traffic or it has too much traffic. You have, if you pull out of your driveway, you'll either be behind a vehicle, ahead of a vehicle. You'll definitely see a vehicle in the distance, either behind you or ahead of you, because you can never get a straight piece of road where you don't see any traffic on it, sort of thing. And yeah, I just think that given it's a farming game, so we're talking country roads here, I think it'd be more realistic to have one car or tractor or truck or whatever every 2 to 3 minutes, rather than one always with an eyesight. As you can see, this paddock that we're in right now, although we are on a hill, and you can see there that we are, it's not very steep at the point we're at right now, so I can just dump the round bales without turning sideways first, and they won't roll down this hill. The last paddock I did, I had to be turning the baler before I filled it up, so I'll show you what I mean. We're just going across the paddock now, but when we get to the other side of it, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I did have a mod downloaded, I think it was called Baler Extension, where the baler automatically stops when it's filled. It slows down at 90% or something and then stops at 100%, so you don't end up having, going a bit too far and carrying on after you've filled it and having to back up again. I took the mod out, and I don't remember why I took that one out. Oh, I remember why it was, because, in fact, that comes back to this hill bit, so I'll show you in a second. So, coming downhill here, so we're now coming down the valley again towards the road in the distance. Okay, and we can see we're almost filled up here. So, there you go, we're filled up. Now, if the hill was steeper, what I would need to do is turn the baler like that before emptying it. And on some of the paddocks in this game, on quite a few of the paddocks in this game, I need to do that, so that the bales are coming out across the hill rather than up and down it. This particular paddock I'm on right now, the valley is not quite so steep just here, so I can dump it like that. Now the reason I took that baler extension mod out is because it slowed the baler down at 90%, I think it was, and then the baler just stopped at 100%. But if you had to turn the baler sideways like that to unload it, you couldn't. The only way to physically move the baler once it was at 100% was to turn it off, and then you could move it around to unload the baler, and then you had to turn it back on again. And it got really annoying having to turn the baler off and then back on again all the time, because it locked the wheels up. As soon as it got to 100%, it just locked up. It wasn't going anywhere unless you either emptied it or turned it off. You had to do one of those two things to be able to move it. And so that just annoyed me, so that's why I took that baler extension mod out. I'm not using it now. And of course the downside to not using it is that unless I'm watching very, very carefully so I can see when it gets to 100%, then what happens invariably, if it gets to 100% and I'm not concentrating enough, so the only reason I know it's done it is because I see that I'm not picking up the windrow anymore like that, so I have to back up before I unload. And I don't mind it backing up before I unload. In a way that kind of feels actually more natural to reverse up a wee bit before I unload the baler. Oh, that baler's moving slightly, it won't go far though. So yeah, this is the third paddock that I'm baling up now, and you can see just further up the valley from me there, through that fence there, is the 4th paddock. I'm expecting to probably get about, I think probably about 18 bales out of this field and the next one. 16 to 18, so I think they're slightly smaller than the other two that I've done. And of course, as I said, the other two I did, I've got 22 bales and 20 bales from. So we're going to have heaps of bales go through winter, because we're up to September now. Now, I think maybe I might get one more cut done before winter hits, because I think it takes about 2 months for the grass to regrow. 2 months for it to regrow, 3 months for it to regrow to 100% length, but you can mow it after 2. So October, November, which would be the last month of autumn, will mean that I can probably do a cut in November, but the grass won't be full length, so I won't get as many bales out of it. But of course I can't leave it one more month until December, so I'm playing 1 day months here, because in December it will all die off because of winter, so there won't be any mowing done in December. So, but yeah, I think I might best squeeze a cut out in November of, if you mow it when it's only done, when it's only at the sort of second growth stage, which is the first stage that you can mow it at, I think you get about 2/3 of the number of bales that you get if you wait until the grass is fully grown. But even so, because it's going to die off through winter, I might as well get that last cut in if I can. But we're now at 26 minutes and I've just chatted on about nothing and really told you nothing. But I don't like my videos. When I used to do 20-minute videos, recently I've been doing 30-minute videos just because I've got a bit more done in them. But I definitely don't really want to go over that 30-minute mark, so I'm at 27 minutes now, so I shall bid you all adieu and say thank you very much for tuning in and watching, and I will finish baling up this paddock. I don't know whether I'll get on to baling the next one or not. I'll definitely finish baling this one after I stop the video. Okay, thank you all, bye.